Welcome to another episode of the Tobago House of Assembly's Post-Executive Council Media Briefing. This week, the Honourable Chief Secretary Orville London addressed the media.
I want to confirm that we are going to be launching our report on the first 100 days. 100 days, I would consider 100 days of significant achievements. And that information is going to be disseminated to the public in a number of different ways using all the media, print, television, radio, social media, etc. We met with the information unit today, and the information is being collated as we speak. And the information is going to be disseminated under a number of headings. The projects that we would have completed and delivered during the last 100 days, like for example the play park and the Y zone or the youth zone at Codler Hall. Projects that have been completed but not yet delivered, for example all the playing fields that have been lighted at Mason Hall, at Mount Pleasant, at Codler Hall, the mini malls or the strip malls which have been completed at Signal Hill and Codler Hall but have not yet been handed over. We have a number of projects that are in progress, and in fact some of them are close to completion. The refurbishment of the community centers, a number of community centers, refurbishment work on these centers, in some cases as much as 90-95% completed. We have the mall at Plymouth, the community center at Bethesda, the community center at Betsy's Hope, a number of those projects. And then we have the programs and the achievements. In other words, we have the programs like the program for those individuals who wish to access emergency assistance, the emergency medical program, which is very successful. Scores of individuals have already benefited. We have the continuation of the home improvement grant and the home improvement subsidies, where a couple hundred persons have already received assistance during this period. We have the continuation of the Adelphi leases and the distribution. We should have another distribution within a couple weeks. And of course the achievements of our athletes at Carifta or athletes at the secondary school championships that we would have won for the 21st time. So basically I think it's going to be quite an impressive list of achievements, and we intend to continue informing the people of Tobago as to what has been achieved by this administration, and we will climax it with an annual review of our achievements and our objectives as we move forward. And as part of that exercise, I wish to advise that our democratization process, to which we remain committed, that process will continue and in fact will be intensified. Next Monday, we meet with the representatives of the youth organizations in Tobago. It's at the infrastructure hall, and we meet at from 4:30. That's the auditorium at the infrastructure division. And then the following Tuesday, I think it's Tuesday the 7th, we meet with the representative of the churches. As I indicated, the whole objective is to get all the various sectors involved in the process, to let them recognize that they have a critical role to play as we move towards a system whereby the people of Tobago take a stake in the governance of the island, hold their representatives even more responsible, and maybe more importantly, contribute to the decision-making process in identifying projects, identifying programs, indicating how best they can be done and so on, and taking responsibility for their welfare and for their future. We had already met with the business group, the Chamber of Commerce and the representative of the business interest groups. And I did meet with them again earlier this week, and we were able to confirm that that process will be ongoing, and the first phase will climax where we will have representation from each of the sectors, the business interests, the young people, the churches, the press, the women, the community groups, and so on. And that group is the group that will monitor, and the group that will communicate with, and the group that will advise and guide and critique the administration as we move forward. Obviously, that group will have to have autonomy, so that what we are doing is really facilitating the process. But we'll be working in close conjunction with people like Dr. James and Mr. Richards and Dr. Vernalin and these people, because we don't want to have any situation where that group is seen as anything but autonomous and independent. And therefore, when that particular group is set up, it will operate based on criteria on which the members of the group are agreed. I also want to commend the business sector in Tobago. I met with the newly elected executive earlier this week, and I was very impressed with the way in which the tenor of the meeting. They have prepared a fairly comprehensive document on the way forward, and they have identified the areas where they believe that they can collaborate with the Tobago House of Assembly in meeting some of the objectives. Obviously, they have their challenges. Among them, of course, is the whole question of the impact of the years of economic downturn, and of course, how can they best benefit from the various incentives which have been put into the business domain by the central government. We are collaborating with them in ensuring that the Foreign Investment Act does, in fact, achieve the objectives for which it was intended. And I reiterated to them, and I want to reiterate to the people of Tobago, that any adjustment that we have made to the operations of the Foreign Investment Act was meant to balance, have that balance between encouraging investment and discouraging speculation. And I think that what was very clear coming out of the discussions is that the administration of the process needed to be improved, and that is something that we're working on. But we are going to continue to collaborate with the business sector as we are trying to move Tobago forward. I did indicate to them, and they said that has already started, that all efforts have to be made to involve all sectors in the business sector, all the subsectors in the business sector, and nobody should see it as just an elitist group to which certain groups of business persons cannot aspire. And I think that, as I said, I'm very, very heartened by the kind of response that I've got and the level of enthusiasm. But more importantly, the level of rigor that I see coming into their operations at this point in time. While we are on the question of business, I just want to update us with respect to the NIB Mall. Now, as you're aware, there is something of an impasse, a standoff between the NIB and the mall tenants. The NIB has taken a position that the mall has reached such a stage of deterioration that there's imminent danger. The mall tenants, on the other hand, based on the documentation which I saw, have got two reputable engineers, Tobago-born engineers, Dr. Williams and Mr. Junior Henry, whose conclusions differ significantly from that of the NIB engineers, and they have indicated that their observations and their evaluation do not indicate any imminent danger. In fact, they are indicating that there is nothing wrong with the structure, or let me put it differently, the structural integrity has not been compromised to the extent where there is need for demolition. I've also received from an independent engineer a slightly different angle, where he has indicated that demolition is now no longer a first option when the structural integrity of a building it comes into question, that there are various types of techniques or technology, various types of technology which have been utilized and which are available and which can be utilized to bring a structure up to what will be considered to be the codes that must be in operation at this point in time. What he explained to me is this, and it makes sense to me as a layperson, that most of these codes have come into effect recently, and therefore buildings that were constructed before these codes came into effect are unlikely to meet these codes, and these were the codes that were used to evaluate the mall. So what has happened, instead of having a situation where you have to, in the metropolitan countries, tear down maybe 80-90% of the buildings that don't meet the modern codes, they have developed this technology that is able, without any demolition, to actually strengthen the building in ways that it can meet the codes. So I spoke to the chairman yesterday, and I indicated to him that in light of all this conflicting technical information, that we are willing to host a meeting between the NIB and the mall vendors. Their technical people had met sometime last week, but it was inconclusive. So he has agreed, and I think that the mall vendors will also agree, and we're hoping to have that meeting on Monday afternoon. We will host the meeting, chair the meeting, and what we're hoping to achieve in that meeting is one of two things. Either we are in a position where we can agree on a way forward from the technical information that is brought to the table, or conversely, that we can agree on an individual or a firm or a process that will guarantee that when the process is concluded, or when the individual or the firm reports, that all the parties will accept that. So it's a kind of, whether you want to call it an arbiter or whether you want to call it an expert on which you all agree. So that is a mindset with which I'll be going into that meeting, hoping that at the end of the exercise we can come to some resolution that is not reckless and is not insensitive. And I think that is where we are at this point in time. But the Tobago House of Assembly remains committed to resolving this issue in a manner that will ensure that, one, the safety of the people and so on is kept as paramount, but also ensuring that we don't take any precipitate decision that will be disadvantageous either to the tenants or the clients or the development of Scarborough. I had a number of meetings this week, and I think they were quite instructive. I met with the representatives from the IDB, Inter-American Development Bank, and I must say that, as I told the team leader, that I was very heartened that the bank had seen it fit to treat with Tobago in an environment where they recognize that we are one country, but there are certain nuances about Tobago's development which must be taken into consideration by regional and international bodies. And we were able to discuss and in fact conclude on a number of issues, and I think going forward, the environment could be more favorable for us in Tobago. We were able, for example, to make a decision with respect, or to confirm a decision with respect to the early childhood care centers, 5 to be built in Tobago. This has been on the drawing board. There were 50 to be built. It's a 3-year program, comes to an end in August. The funding comes to an end in August, so that it was very important that we got the Tobago schools into the mix at this point in time. There is some negotiation that will have to be done with respect to the availability of the funding and the extension. But at this point in time, at least, the Tobago schools have been confirmed. I must say that it took a lot of negotiation for us to get the confirmation, but that is water under the bridge. The important thing is that the schools are confirmed as being on the list, and we expect that all the administrative hurdles will be overcome, and we'll be in a position to have construction start as a matter of urgency. In fact, coming out of that meeting, there's going to be an aid memoir and a number of agreements between the IDB and the Tobago House of Assembly. Among them would be the involvement of the Tobago House of Assembly in a number of discussions that would lead to, how the country profile how we come up with the country profile, where Tobago can put some of its programs and some of its concerns and its recommendations into the mix so that it becomes part of the decision-making process, where the communication between the IDB and the Tobago House of Assembly is one where there'll be direct communication, and therefore, you don't run the risk of administrative bureaucracy preventing the Tobago House of Assembly from getting information in a timely manner. I think basically what I was most interested in is the mindset of the IDB, in the sense that they sent the signal that they were prepared to treat with us in a manner that will allow our voice to be heard, and of course our concerns to be raised and considered. I also met with the Port Authority, the representatives of the Port Authority, the acting CEO, the Assistant General Manager, Mr. Grant, to discuss the warrior spirit. As you're aware, the warrior spirit was not a new boat when it came to Tobago, and it has been operating in Tobago waters for quite a number of years. In recent times, there have been some challenges, and the Port Authority quite rightly has indicated that it has to have some alternative or some other arrangement. What I understand from them is that the warrior spirit will continue to operate for another 3 years, and during that 3 years a decision will have to be made as to whether they're buying a new boat or whether they're looking for a second-hand boat and so on, and what are the specifications for this new vessel. My position with them is that we cannot see this as just purchasing a vessel. It has to be seen as part of the whole developmental trust in the Tobago context, in the sense that we have to see, one, how best is it suited with respect to the cargo that we bring to Tobago, the size, the utilization of trucks as against flatbeds, etc. We have to see, is it seen as a cargo vessel, or is it seen also as a vessel that can assist in the tourism sector? In other words, the time that it takes to travel from Tobago to Trinidad, will that deter persons who want to come up with their cars, etc.? And would it therefore be able to have more people coming up, who want to come up from Trinidad? And is that something you want to encourage, and so on? The whole question of the ancillary services, and of course the question of the infrastructural development, both at Scarborough and at Port of Spain. I think you know that there has been some improvement in the infrastructure in Tobago. There's still some challenges there. The question of the capacity of the Scarborough Harbour to accommodate cargo, tourism, cruise ship, and passenger ships coming from Trinidad. All of these are issues that we have to determine. And as I indicated to the Port Authority members, that nothing that the Port Authority does should be done in isolation, and that the issue of consultation with the Tobago House of Assembly should be the norm. And although they were not the decision makers, I took the opportunity to indicate to them that they were hamstrung as the operators, as the people, the functionaries, because at the decision-making level, the Tobago House of Assembly was not represented. The Tobago House of Assembly is not represented on the board of the Port Authority. And I made the point to them that because of this, the odds are that the decisions made by the Port Authority will be flawed, because they do not have the input of the Tobago House of Assembly, and therefore they cannot take into consideration the other aspects of development in Tobago which will impact on that decision and for which they will know nothing. And I'm really hoping, and we will be taking that up with the Minister again, that the Tobago House of Assembly's representation on these boards and committees which impact on Tobago's development and the areas over which the Tobago House of Assembly has some responsibility, that the central government should, and the cabinet should have another look at that and do what is necessary. Because there were some issues where the Port Authority either had made decisions or intended to make decisions, but because there was not the level of collaboration and information sharing that will come automatically with THE representation on the board, and it's not malintent, but with the best intent in the world, they will make the wrong decision. And I think that I appreciated the fact that the functionaries came and they were able to share their issues and get our input. But even with that, the situation is still not going to be rectified satisfactorily until such time as we treat with the question of the board representation. I have been informed by the presiding officer that President Anthony Carmona will be paying an official visit to the House on Friday. A special sitting will be convened on Friday when the President is expected to address the House, and by extension the people of Tobago. On behalf of the Tobago House of Assembly, of course, the presiding officer who is in charge of the House will welcome him to the House, but on behalf of the people of Tobago, I wish to welcome him. It's a little strange because you welcome a man who has been coming to Tobago quite regularly, and in fact was here on an unofficial visit during the Easter holidays. But his affinity for Tobago, I think, is well known, and I'm certain that he will be able to continue and develop that relationship with the people of Tobago and its institutions, and we heartily welcome him. I have also accepted an invitation to deliver the feature address at the Point 14 Borough Corporation Annual Civic Reception and Award Function. It's carded for the Town Hall in Point 14 on Tuesday afternoon, that's next Tuesday at 5 in the afternoon. Tobago will also be, as usual, be participating. There's normally a Tobago Day. I think that's on the Thursday, sometime later in the week. I've never been able to see the Tobagonians perform, and I will not be able to do so this year. But I understand that they're quite a hit, and I expect that that link between Tobago and Point 14 will continue. I want to also commend the motion on the obesity. I want to commend it to all Tobagonians. I will say more of that. I will not be participating in the debate as such. It's not that I don't qualify, but I'll not be participating. But I will. I really want to commend the motion to the people of Tobago, because basically the motion does not only speak to what the Assembly is doing, but I think it should speak more to the responsibility which the people of Tobago have to take for their own quality of life and their own length of life. And I think all of us, there are lessons to be learned from this particular exercise. One final point, I'm certain I'll be asked other questions on this. I just want to indicate that there was a meeting scheduled between the Tobago House of Assembly and the Minister of National Security. That meeting was carded for, I think it's next week on the 14th. There is still a Minister of National Security, so I'm hoping that the meeting is still on.
Thank you for staying with us for the Tobago House of Assembly's Post-Executive Council Media Briefing for the week ending April 27th, 2013.